Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing some polishing a big, huge agate. This is some of that marble agate we got at the Lobster Hole last year. This was our big, huge piece of seam, and this is a great candidate for the Vibra Lap. It barely fits on there actually, but it's got the right weight and the right size, so it's going to fit on there. This piece is very uneven. When I cut this, it was too big for the saw. I cut it on the 14-inch saw at work. But it's really uneven, so this is going to take a while to grind down. So that's still a great candidate for the Vibra Lap, because I don't want to spend a lot of time doing this by hand. So we're going to do things the easy way. Show you what this stuff looks like wet. Here, let me get it wet. So here you can see what we're going after here. This stuff is just spectacular. Lots going on. I call this stuff like marble agate, just because there's not really much like it here in the province. So we're going to polish this today. It's going to be a nice shelf piece. It's already sitting nice and shelfy. So we're going to fire this thing up. We're going to start with the 4670 grit. I'm expecting this to take quite a long time. It's Friday right now. I'm off today. So I'm probably thinking stage 1 with the 4670 grit. This is going to take about 3 days, I would imagine, because this is severely uneven. You can see some of the saw marks. This is going to take a while to get down. So we're going to start it now. I'll be monitoring it. I'm using the high-tech diamond flat lap drip system. I'm going to use that for this. Just drip it onto the pan, keep it wet. Got my splash guard here, and we're off to the races. So let's get started. Our loft is right above me. Can you hear the boys playing hockey up there? They just knocked my light out over there. That's crazy. They just knocked my light out. It sounds like elephants up there. They're playing stick hockey up in the loft upstairs. Man, my God. So if you hear that going on, I apologize. So anyway, I'm going to charge the pan, and I know, because I've done this a few times now, I know that the pan, I only need 2 tablespoons to charge it. And this is the 4670 grit, and then you put equal parts of grit and water. And then you fire it up. And you wait for the paste to develop. And then we'll stick our piece on there. Okay, I got my grid with my marker on there. Once all this disappears, it'll show me that I've got it all down to the same level. So it's going to be a long process, but let's get it started. I'm going to put this rock on now. Let's see how it does. So you want to see good spinning action, and you want to hear that grinding sound. So it's turning pretty good right from the start, so that's a good sign. So I'm going to put the splash guard back up, and I'm going to let this run, and I'll check on it every half an hour until I'm comfortable it's good to go, and then I'm going to put the drip system on here. So we're about 2 hours in. I had to put a rock on top of it just to add some weight, and it's grinding much better, and it's turning faster, so that's going to get us faster grind. Haven't started the drip system yet because our slurry is still pretty good. Once it starts to dry up a bit, I'll turn the drip system on. But so far so good. We'll check back in a couple hours. Still stage 1. Okay, so it's the next morning now. I shut this down about midnight last night, and this is what the rock looked like when I shut it down. You can see there's still some marker up here, but I'll tell you, that went real fast. That's really smooth here. You could tell it's a little bit raised right here, so it's got a little bit of work to go, but that went really fast. But I'm going to recharge the pan. I'm going to get it going again this morning with another round of 4670 grit, and we're going to try to finish her off today, and then we'll be moving to the 12220 grit hopefully later on tonight. So let's recharge the pan and get it. Starting to build up a good slurry again. These are about 2 pounds each. So we got 4 pounds on top of the rock. So it's got some good turning motion. Everything's looking good. We'll check back in a little bit. Okay, this has been running for about 6 hours and it's starting to get a little slow in the turning, so I'm gonna check it right now. I'm gonna clean the pan. If I need to recharge it, I will. Maybe it's done. Let's check. Okay, as you can see, still a little bit of marker left, but we are getting there. It's getting very close. Still one little bit of saw mark here, and you can see a little bit of marker left. So we're getting real close. Hopefully tonight. It's 3 o'clock right now. Maybe another 6 hours, and we'll get it. I'm gonna recharge the pan. Start with a fresh batch of grit. That should help speed things along. Be right back. Okay, so it's the end of day 2. It's almost midnight, and I pulled the rock off, the seam agate off, and I can. All the marker's gone. As you can see, it's all gone. There's still one slight little saw mark here, and being the perfectionist I am, I have to get that out. So tomorrow morning I'm going to run it again for another few hours to see if I can get that out of there before moving on to the next grit stage. So when we come back, it will be morning and I'll be doing that exact thing. But it's looking pretty good. It's pretty smooth everywhere else. So really happy with how this turned out. I mean, it took 2 days of grinding on 4670, but like I said, that thing was like convex and it had a lot of saw marks in it. So but yeah, 2 days of grinding got it pretty flat, so we'll try to clean that little bit up tomorrow morning. There is actually a little bit of marker left there, so that's all that's left on there though. We'll clean that up tomorrow. We'll see you in the morning. Day 3 with 4670 grit. Just that little bit left to do. Hopefully this will get done in a few hours. So we'll check back in probably a couple hours. Just started it up. There isn't even a slurry yet. Yep, we'll check back in a couple hours. So that rock has officially finished stage 1. All the marks are out. It's perfectly smooth. No saw marks left. Perfectly smooth surface, level. It's ready to go on to stage 2, which is 120/220 grit. Pan's been cleaned, so we're gonna charge the pan with the 120/220 and get started on that. I'm probably gonna run that 7 hours, and I got enough time tonight to do that, so I'm hopefully gonna bang out this stage 2 tonight. So we'll check back in a little bit. Okay, it's been 6 hours in stage 2, 120/220 grit, and I'm gonna pull this off now. Take a look, and I think it's gonna be enough. So let's get it cleaned up. I'll clean the pan up, and then we'll see if we have to run it anymore in this grit. Okay, so this is the piece dry. As you can see, we have no more marker. I didn't show the marker at the beginning of the stage, but I did the same grid pattern on there as I did with the stage 1, and we have nothing there now. So this thing's ready to move on to stage 3, which will be an aluminum oxide grit. So we're gonna switch pans. So I use this pan as my silicon carbide pan, and then I use this pan as my aluminum oxide pan. So we're gonna switch to this pan and it'll be a 500 grit aluminum oxide. So we're going to prep the pan now and we're going to start it. So there it goes. It just started in stage 3, 500 grit aluminum oxide. I did not put the markers on there now. It just probably wouldn't even come off. Maybe it might, yeah, it actually probably would, but I don't think there's any need to do that now. I'm just going to keep it running now for about 7 hours. We'll just check back on it here periodically, make sure the slurry's not getting too thick or too runny. So we'll check back in a little bit. Okay, so you can see our slurry now is gray. It's been 7 hours. So the aluminum oxide is white, but it turns gray because of the aluminum in the pan. This is still pretty much a new pan, so there's still aluminum coming off of the bottom of the pan, making the aluminum oxide turn gray. So, but we're gonna pull this off, take a look. I think it's done. We'll clean it up and take a look. Okay, so the agate is now done, the 500 grit aluminum oxide stage. So now we're going to go on to stage 4, which is a 1200 grit aluminum oxide. And I have to say the rock is looking pretty good. It's super smooth, and you can start to see a little bit of shine on there. If I hold it at the right angle, you can start to see that shine come through. So that's at 500 grit. So 1200 grits next. I'm gonna prep the pan and we'll get her rocking and rolling. Okay, I got the pan charged with the 1200 grit aluminum oxide and got the piece all ready to go. Weighted it down, extra weight, get that extra fast shine, and we'll start her up now. Probably let it run for about 10 to 12 hours, and then we'll move on to polish after this. But this is 1200 grit aluminum oxide. Okay, this has been running now for 12 hours in 1200 grit aluminum oxide. It's doing a little bit of jerking around and it's getting slow on the turning, so I never recharged the pan or anything. That's the same grit. I added some water, that's all. That's the same grit for 12 hours, so it's probably spent, and I'm gonna go ahead and change this out, and I'm gonna check the rock, see if it's done. I'll be able to tell basically just if the shine's improved over the whole surface of the rock. So I'm gonna check that now and I'll show you here in a second. So here's the agate dry and all cleaned off, and you can see the shine has improved. It's pretty typical of what I would expect after 1200 grit. The best way to tell is by tilting it. You can see that mirror shine starting to come when you tilt it here. So pretty happy with this, and this should get the mirror shine now as we go into the final polish. The final polish is it's called alumina. It's basically an aluminum oxide, really fine grain. It's like 14,000 grit. So we're gonna run that in new pan, actually same pan but new ring. So just as a side note here, when I clean the pan, it takes about 15 minutes. You gotta make sure you clean it thoroughly, get all the previous grit out, especially when I'm jumping from 1200 to 14,000. So this pan's, like, I scrubbed this for about 10-15 minutes. The ring, I use a different ring. So this is my 1200 ring, and I use a different ring just because the grit can get in these cracks here, and it's hard to get that out. So I use a completely new ring. So I have a new ring for when I run the polish and the polishing pad. So we're gonna run the polishing pad. Like I said, this is all going according to plan so far. Hopefully the final result will be a mirror shine. I'm feeling good about it though. So let's prep the pan for the polish. Okay, so we're ready to put this agate in polish now. Just really liking how this is looking so far. And I got the pan charged. We have our Illumina 14,000 grit aluminum oxide polish. This is a brand new pad and a brand new ring, so I just put a little extra polish in there just to charge it a bit more. So they say you should, on a brand new pad, you should overcharge it just so it, you know, soaks in the chemical and the compound. So I did that, and we're gonna turn the thing on, let it get a little bit of a slurry, let it soak into the pad a little bit, and then we'll add the rock. So stay tuned. Okay, so I have it on there. It's rotating a little slow. I haven't put the weight on it yet. I'm gonna see how it goes here. I'll probably have to end up putting the weight on to get it to turn a little faster. But the chemicals, just the compounds, just soaking in there. So let's see how this goes, and then I'll probably add the weight here in a minute. So now you can see how much faster it's turning. I think we're gonna be good with this. I think I won't have to put the big old other agate on there. So we'll monitor this. I want to make sure the slurry doesn't get too dry. That looks pretty good right now. And this will go for, I'm probably gonna let this go for like 10 hours. This one you don't have to add as much water. This polishing pad kind of soaks in the water, stays moist, and it really doesn't need a lot of compound to be added to it. So this will be pretty good here without me having to come down and check on it much. I'll come down and check on it maybe in a couple hours. We'll see how it goes. It's been a couple hours and it's turning really good. No concerns. Really good turning motion actually. And the slurry on top of the pad looks really good. It's not foaming. I think everything's perfect right now, so I'm gonna let it keep going. Probably another 6 hours, but I'll check it periodically just to make sure the turning motion is still good. But the next time you see this, I'll probably be ready to pull it off and clean it up and show you guys the final result. So see you in a minute. Okay, so we are about 11 hours in, and this is probably going to be done now. I'm going to check it. Haven't looked at it yet. It's starting to make a little bit of a noise, but the turning motion is still pretty good. But I'm going to pull it off, clean it up, let it dry, and see what kind of shine we got. Okay, here's the piece dry. This is completely dry, and it's looking really good. The camera's not focusing, but that light reflection is perfectly mirror. However, you might notice it right there. So if I put it down. So there is a spot. Let me get it. It's hard to get it here so that it doesn't reflect, but there is a spot right here. If you can see where my thumb is, you can kind of see it. It gets a little cloudy right there. It's like a little crescent moon, looks shaped like a crescent moon there. And that's bugging me. It didn't polish there as well. It's 90% of the piece is polished mirror shine, except for that one little, you can see it right there. See that? So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it back on. I know it's been 11 hours, but I'm gonna put some more weight on it to see if I can get it to weight down and get that polish on that piece there, because I don't know if I can live with that. But the rest of this thing, man, I mean, I'm gonna say it looks so cool. You can't pick it up. You might be able to, but this thing on some of the surface, it's so well polished. I can see the outline, like it almost looks like someone traced it with pencil, the agate fortifications. It's so cool. I gotta get rid of this little dull spot in the middle there, but if I can get it to the rest, that's such a good looking shine, man. I'm really happy with everything except for that little spot right there. So I'm gonna throw this back on, and see if I can get rid of that, polish it up nicer. So bear with me here. Okay, so I strapped her back on, and now it's gonna run overnight. I taped it extra because I just want it to be extra secure. I'm not gonna be checking on it for about 8 to 10 hours, so this bad boy is gonna run all night, and hopefully I can get rid of that little dull spot. Pan's charged. I don't have to worry about adding water. The polishing stage runs real smooth. Don't have to add water, don't have to worry about it drying up. The pad stays saturated and it's good to go. So I'm gonna let this run until the morning and then I'll check back. But for you, it'll be instantaneous. So see you in a minute. Okay, so I let that run all night and all day today. So it's nighttime the following, it's been 24 hours almost. So this thing's been running like 36 hours in polish. So I'm gonna take a look to see if that extra 24 hours did anything to that little blemish. I'm hoping it did. I have not looked at it, just run all day. I've just been adding water a little bit here and there. So I'm gonna pull this off now. It's still turning beautifully. And I'm gonna clean it up, disassemble this little weight I have on top here, and then we'll take a look at it. Whatever it is, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna accept whatever the final outcome is. So let's hope it's spotless. Let's take a look. Okay, so here's the piece dry, and it did improve. That blotch is still a little bit there, but it's not bad. I can live with it. You can see the light reflection there. I mean, it's everything is just popping on this agate now. Very happy with this polish. That's a mirror shine. So all in all, I'd say that was a very successful polish. I can't get it to focus, it's so shiny. It's focusing on the light in the piece there, look at that. Like it's totally got a clear image of the light above me. That light right there. There, I gotta focus back on the rock. So it either focuses on the rock or it focuses on the light. It's so shiny. Anyway, there's focusing on the light. If I can get it to, there, focus back on the rock. This is a Covington 10-inch vibratory lap. It's called a Vibra Lap. This is becoming one of my favorite tools that I have in my garage. It's really easy to use. It gets a great shine, as you can see, and very minimal work, to be honest with you. You got to check in on it every once in a while just to make sure things aren't drying up on you, but other than that, it's a great tool. It's becoming, like I said, I'm going to start using it more often. This is about my 5th time using it, and I'm learning more as we go. I'm learning that you don't want to have the weight too heavy, but you also don't want to have it too light, or else the polish around the edges, if it's too light, doesn't get quite as good, and if it's too heavy, it'll leave a really dull mark in the center. But you got to get it just right. So it has to have the right surface area to weight ratio. If you can figure that out, this is just a great tool. I'm going to start using it to polish some thunder eggs. I got some laid out here that I think I'm going to polish. That'll be in an upcoming video. But yeah, like I said, really happy with this. We're not affiliated with Covington in any way. Just want to point that out there. I just like to use this machine. I really like it a lot. So I highly recommend it to anybody that's looking to upgrade from a flat lap. A vibratory lap is in my opinion, a really good option, especially if you don't have a lot of time to sit at a machine for like 4 hours, 5 hours polishing. This is something you can polish and then get your polish by just minimal check-ins. Like you have to set it up. Cleaning in between each stage is about 15-20 minutes, and then you could walk away from it for a couple hours. Just come back every couple hours, check to make sure your slurry's not getting dry. That takes about 5 minutes, and then you're off again. So I do it. I use this mostly on weekends when I'm home. So if I know we're not going anywhere for long stretches over the weekend, no day trips or anything, I'll use it because like I said, you do have to be around to check in on it every once in a while. With that, really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about the shined up agate here. It's a really big piece of agate. Really happy to add that to the shelf. It's a very unique piece. We found this on our lobster hunt earlier this year, and this is like a new seam that I haven't seen before up there, and we've been collecting some material from it. I have some more, but this is by far the best chunk that I have, and happy to add this to the collection. Don't know where I'm going to display it yet. Try to make room up here, but if I can't, then we'll find a place in the house. It's a big monster. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. As always, have yourself a great week, and we'll catch you on the next one.